Do you have any idea the cameras we had when I was 17? Like, when do you decide to invest in whatever type of gear, and when is it the right time to make that decision, with limited budgets?
My answer is like after you pay your bills, probably.
Well, that would be a short episode then.
Pay your bills, man. Just see what you got left over.
Oh my god.
I guess that's it.
There we go.
Episode's over. There we go.
Thank you guys. Pay your bills and then you can invest in something. If you would like to sponsor this show, please send an email to this email that's right here.
Over the last week or two
It feels good, doesn't it?
on gear, I don't know if it feels good.
Wait, have we started yet officially?
You can do, we can do.
Maybe.
Well, let's just. How do you want to start this?
Welcome.
It's been so long.
It's
been so long since we saw each other.
I know, so long.
You guys changed your shirts. I changed my gel. It appears that we're not even recording on the same day as the last
I
episode.
changed the color of my wall too.
No.
I don't remember what was the color in the last
Philippe's glasses are still cracked.
That's not gonna change for a while, man. If we're talking about when you have money to invest in something, this is the last priority that I have right now.
Well, and that's what this episode is about, is when is the right time to invest in new gear, whether that's hardware or software.
Well, speaking from experience, I've recently embarked on this little upgrade journey of mine where I have invested heavily in new camera equipment. I mean heavily invested. So now I've gone for the GH5. I was debating for a long time whether I wanted something a bit more higher end, I would say, with quote marks, in the sense that something with like built-in ND filters, something with built-in audio. But a lot of the times I did that, I was thinking, run and gun is your thing. Run and gun is what you do a lot of. I do a lot of event stuff. I do a lot of stuff where I need to move quickly. There was another side to it as well, is where I might do a lot more YouTube stuff in the future, where I can't vlog with like a Panasonic EVO 1 or a C200 Mark 1 or whatever, or a C300. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I was debating a smaller camera anyway, or a lighter camera, and then I was debating between this and the GH5S, and then I worked on a gig for this event for the company that I work for, and we used C300 Mark 1s, and we were doing a lot of handheld stuff, and it quickly became apparent to me that I don't like heavy cameras. Do it for this kind of stuff. For the kind of stuff that I do a lot
does?
of. I know, exactly. So I was like, right, next camera is going to be a lot lighter. And obviously the GH5 is a very light camera. Depending on the lens, what lens you put on it, it's very light. Mm-hmm. And I'm currently have a Sigma 24-105 on here. It's a good focal range. Okay. It's an f4, but I've got a speed booster as well. So it becomes like an f2, which is a very nice... It's a very nice focal range, an f2.8, sorry.
2.8, yeah. And I've got a GH5 with a speed booster and a Canon 70-200 right now, filming at 70.
Yeah.
So it's a constant f4 lens because I could get it for $600, but with the speed booster, I'm at a constant f2.8 for only $600.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm recording this episode with.
So nice,
yes, it does make it a heavier camera.
Exactly.
But that extra stop of light
is very useful.
Wow, you have a 70-200. I really wonder how you look right now.
Yeah, it's going to be quite well. You'll find it in the episode, won't you?
I will have to watch it.
Yeah.
I wonder how I look as well. I mean, I can see myself on the flame monitor, but
because it's a lens that I really love. I actually have a Tamron 70-200 2.8. It was an expensive toy to buy.
Oh yeah.
And it's a Sony mount. I can use it on the GH5 with the adapter that's right now there. No electronics at all, together with the GH5 with the adapter that I have. But 70-200, what a beautiful, beautiful length to have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a very nice.
And of course, I'm at the 70 because my studio, I'd have to be at the far end of the studio to use any longer of a length.
Same here. I'm on like the 24 at the minute, just to kind of get everything in focus, get everything in kind of in frame. But I do. I think that's a good focal length, 24 to 105. I was debating the 18 to 35, and I'm like, I needed something a little bit more. So I thought maybe 24 to 105 is just a little bit more than that. I know there's a focal crop as well, so it kind of makes it like a 32. What's the focal range in that? It's like a 24, like 39 to 112 or something silly, like the focal crop is, because it becomes
the crop
like
factor is really weird because most people calculate crop based on full frame. But full frame is not the standard. It's never been the standard. So it's an odd thing to compare it to.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but when you say 35 millimeters, you're saying 35 on a 35 millimeter size sensor, and the 35 millimeter sensor is the full frame-ish size.
But if you're comparing it to like what most motion pictures are shot on, that's basically a Super 35.
Super 16 or
Super which 35 is exactly what we have with the GH5 and a speed booster is exactly the same field of view as a Super 35 millimeter sensor.
I have a completely Micro Four Thirds. So you're looking right now at what a Micro Four Thirds is. I have a 35 millimeter lens on full frame, which would be 70 millimeter, the way I'm using right now. So
yeah. It was still nice framing.
I'm on f2.8, which would be f4 without any speed booster.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that speed booster was a fantastic tool because it's just like I've got a constant aperture of 2.8. It's an expensive tool.
It's expensive. It's like $700 or something like that.
But but what it gives me is I can save money in getting a slower lens because it's going to make it a faster lens anyway.
And if you already have the lens, is the other thing, right?
Or, like in my case, I invested in the speed booster because I'm not confident I'm going to stay in the Micro Four Thirds camera business too many more years. And anything else I get, whether it's a Blackmagic or whatever else it is, would probably be an EF mount. And so I got the EF speed booster so that I can invest in EF lenses so that when I do upgrade my camera system...
You can sell the adapter, you can sell the camera, and you're not...
So it was a cost a year ago when I got the speed booster that will pay off down the line. And so that's how I justified that expense.
Yeah.
I'm the stupidest of them all because I started with Sony. So my lenses are all Sony A mount.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So speed booster for me would mean buying the speed booster and starting to buy EF lenses.
Gotcha.
And so for me, for now, I have a photodiox adapter that's just a passive adapter just to make the flange longer. And then I'm using my lenses. Other than that, I haven't done a very big investment there. I'm using the lenses that I used to have. And like you said, Gabe, I don't know how long I'm going to be in the Micro Four Thirds. I love full frame. I came from full frame and Super 35 and then Micro Four Thirds. I'm actually loving the GH5. Look at this. This is 10 bits. And 10 bits, you can see this gradient here really well. You might be able to see the same with Sony, but I really love the way the Panasonic handles color, the way it handles the files, the way it handles going from one memory card to another memory card, how many settings for resolution and frame rate and bit rate I have there.
Is like, that's one thing I was comparing when I was looking at the GH5. It was no other camera at this price point matches spec-wise.
The features?
The features.
Yeah, no.
Nothing matches. Apart from the GH5S, but that's pretty much like a sister camera.
The GH5 only loses on sensor size, that's it.
But then again, you got the speed booster, which kind of makes up for that. It's like, you lose compromises, but like, for this thing, run and gun, I'll take a picture, and maybe you can put it up, Gabe, but like, for me, I've got the cage on it, I've got the small rig cage on, I have the XLR adapter, I'm not currently using it at the moment, but this is kind of be my thing that I was debating also getting an external audio recorder. I spent about $4,500 overall. It's a heavy investment for me. New camera, 4K. I was using a Canon 60D before. And
now, how did you actually justify that though? In terms of like, does that gear purchase translate into work that'll pay for it? That'll bring in
exactly.
money that'll
For
pay
me,
for itself?
it was a case of I didn't feel comfortable advertising myself as a camera and shooter editor combo with the gear that I had, in case they said, "Oh, what gear have you got?" Well, I've got. I rent my gear, kind of thing. It was like a case of, I didn't feel like I could actually go up to a client, come to me and go, "We need it for tomorrow. We need you to come in tomorrow, do this edit and do the shoot, and we need a quick turnaround." I go, "Great, cool. I don't have a camera. Bugger. I'd have to turn that job down because I'd have to go and either use my friend's, and if he wasn't available, I'd have to rent a camera in that short time frame." For me, it felt it was very restricting, in the sense that I couldn't promote myself with the work that I wanted to do.
So it was a confidence thing as well as enabling you to take on jobs next day that you couldn't do if you had to rent.
Exactly. And
what about how long it's going to take you to repay that in terms of...
Well, I did it through finance.
What you expect in terms of jobs and repaying?
Well, the job that came through was kind of enabled. It was over, it was about £1,300, which was a quarter of the cost I've got for this.
That's quick.
So I've got some more work coming up for the end of the month. I've also got a regular steady income as well. So, because I work for the other company they work for, and so for me it felt like I can justify the cost simply because I have the work coming in and I have the ability to pay it back through what I'm doing. Any other work again on top of that now is going to be like, right, okay, I can pay a little bit more this month. I'll knock the costs down. I'll, $2,000 job comes in, I've already made up half the gear cost.
Yeah, for me, I have two general rules. One is I don't invest in gear unless I know it'll pay for itself within a year or two, say.
Wow, that's good. That's a long time to repay.
And two, well, normally it pays for itself one or two jobs later. But I just got an 18-core iMac Pro. That's more than one job for me. So that,
yeah, of course.
That's a different conversation. But my other kind of rule is I will invest in something if it enables me to do something more efficiently or higher quality, or it offers me some sort of peace of mind or protection.
It makes you more efficient.
For example,
as well.
Yeah, like I invested in the Zoom F8, which is like $1,000 external audio recorder.
Yep.
But compared to any recorder I had prior to that, I've got extra XLR inputs. I've got dual recording, so I can record a second safety track. IXML, again, is worth the price of admission alone. So if you don't know what IXML is, I can pre-program into the recorder all of the speakers' names and their safety channels, or I could label it, shotgun, lavalier, shotgun 1, shotgun 2, whatever.
Yeah.
And that will come into Final Cut Pro 10 with the tracks or the rolls already labeled. Yeah. Which saves me a ton of time. Because
knowing what you haven't got to find it. It saves you time.
Dialogue 1, Dialogue 2, Dialogue 3, that means nothing to me. So I don't have to spend any time sorting it. As soon as I import it, those rolls are tagged right out of the bat, and I can start editing those separate audio components or channels. Yeah. But the other thing is just having actual knobs where I can see the levels and control the levels. And all my other recorders, you'd have to go into a menu and click a button, which makes the take unusable because the volume would increase in these hard stops.
Yeah.
So just being able to turn a knob, to any audio enthusiast out there, that seems, like of course you would want that, but I didn't have that. So now I can just use a knob.
Of course.
So that $1,000 was easy for me to justify. Yeah. Even though my clients aren't going to pay more because they have an external recorder, it made my life easier.
Yeah.
That said, I had a gig a couple weeks ago where part of the shoot required me to be walking around with a handheld camera with a lavalier on the talent. And I could plug my Sennheiser lavalier into my GH5, but that would be only just the little 1/4-inch connection.
Yeah.
So I invested also, in the Panasonic, in that adapter.
This adapter here?
So that I can feed an XLR signal directly into the camera for a cleaner, with more recording options. And that's actually how I'm recording this show. I think my levels are set. Again, I can't look at my camera from here.
Exactly, yeah. I'm currently doing this through the computer, but yeah, it's like, I got this simply because on the flip side of what you were saying with getting a instant recorder, for me, a lot of stuff I've been doing is handheld. A lot of stuff I've been doing is off the cuff, kind of got to go quick in, plug a mic in, get lav on them, and then record and, get stuff kind of quickly as possible. So for me, this was a critical investment because I didn't want to use the mic jack on the GH5. I wanted to use proper XLR microphones.
And it has a dial a level
It's a
style
level
right
style
on there.
right here, really nice dial. It's got local filter, gain filter, and a automatic level control, which is useful
Yes.
if you want to kind of just, if you just want to flick that on, and if it clips, you can kind of recover some of it. And then I've got some isotope stuff that might be able to salvage a little bit of that. But I'm monitoring this. I'm going to be on camera monitoring the audio. I'm not going to be letting it go too hot.
No,
I'm
exactly.
going to kind of keep it at 0 and just kind of go, right, we'll go halfway with that. And then for me, that's enough, more than enough. And then I usually got like a separate lav backup because I've got the lav for my phone that connects up. So for me, this is just a case of I need something in camera. And it is a lot easier than balancing and managing an external audio recorder. But there are advantages to having that, and that's something that I am going to be investing in the future as well. So
Yeah, until today, and I guess the last episode, since we're recording these both on the same day, I've been using dual system sound or recording my audio separately from my video for years. So this is the first time I've used single system sound, really since I started doing this professionally. And it's interesting because nowadays it is so easy to sync your audio and video in post, especially in Final Cut Pro 10. But so that's not really why I'm doing it. I'm doing it just because I just got my iMac Pro back. I had to reconfigure my studio. I just didn't have time to set up the Zoom, and I wanted to test this XLR unit before my next client shoot.
yeah,
So those are my reasons for why I'm using it now. But I'm pretty sure once I import this footage and I don't have to sync the audio, I will be a fan of having eliminated that one extra step.
yeah,
So we'll see. We'll see. But yes, there are really sound reasons to go single
Either
system
option. Yeah,
and dual system.
Yeah.
It all depends on the scenario. And in either case, like I can't charge my client more if I'm recording 48-bit over 16-bit, but
of course.
that makes my life easier in post. So
Yeah.
that's, again, it's one of those things where it benefits the client sort of, but me directly.
Yeah,
Having a physical knob I can turn versus going into a menu and clicking a hard stop, which means I can't use that take, makes a big difference to me.
Yeah.
So again, I could justify that there. So it's maybe not as apparent as a camera, well, like say moving up from 1080p to 4K.
yeah,
like-
like I did with this.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're not necessarily delivering 4K. Maybe you are, but if the overall quality is better, you at least gain that confidence of being able to step up your prices because you're delivering higher quality
Exactly,
video.
yeah.
How do
There's
you
that
how do
thing
you-
about depending on where you are, if you spend twice as much, you're gonna get 50% improvement. And then if you spend twice as much again, you're gonna get 10% improvement. And then
It's
if you
diminishing
spend twice as
returns.
much again, yeah. So you need to measure what it is that you need for the work that you're doing. So for example, the work that I do, most of it, the GH5 totally covers.
Yeah,
Some customers will ask for a red, but they are asking for the red just because of the red's
The name, yeah,
If I would
yeah.
if I would deliver something out of the GH5 and then would say I shot in a red, they wouldn't be the wiser.
Oh yeah, of course.
And there are many ways that I could prove that. I will prove in a few videos in some time, but
Yeah.
it's in my case when I invested on the GH5, I had been working on just this camera.
Okay.
It's an X5R. It's a Super 35 camera. It's a Sony camera with an E-mount. It's one of the very first E-mount cameras. And then I have here a adapter for the A-mount and then the A-mount lenses. That's what I had been shooting for the past 4 or 5 years. And this shoots only 1080p. It's very compressed. It's not too bad, but it's very compressed. And when you compare to the GH5, it's very different. And when it came the time for me to invest on the GH5, I asked myself, will it land me better jobs than what I have right now? And the answer was absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for me, even if I said, okay, if I get even 2 jobs out of this, it's already worth because I'm going to be making so many YouTube videos and the GH5 is going to provide me a so much better workflow to do that
Yeah, of course.
other than this other camera. So for me, that's
You can see
that
yourself
was
on the
worth
screen,
right
which
there.
is one thing which is kind of helping me with this. Well, from
Yeah.
this show is I'm guessing you with YouTube as well. It's like you need to see yourself a focus. You need to see, I'm guessing with the Sony, it's a bit tricky to do that.
In my case, I have a Blackmagic Ultra Studio, so actually the image that you guys are seeing is the image from my GH5, and the image that I'm seeing on my screen is the image from my GH5. So I know that if I get back here, I'm out of focus, and if I come
I just got peaking
here,
on.
I'm out of
Peaking
focus.
is kind of the one thing. The other thing that was just kind of a big thing is because I moved from a 60D, it was such a big thing where I had no focus peaking, I had no way to
60D
monitor
was
audio.
the very first DSLR to record video, right?
Yeah, I believe it was.
720p.
It was 1080p 30, 720p 60, or 50, depending on what kind of thing you're in. But for me, it was a case of this camera I had since I was like 16, 17. If I wanted this properly, I need to get a good camera for this. I need to take it up a notch. And the GH5 for me was that. And another sound investment, which most people don't mention, is
Tripod?
Tripod, yeah, but also lighting.
Well,
Totally.
yes.
I made a massive
Maybe even
investment.
before the camera.
I spent more in lighting by far than all of my audio and video gear combined.
Yeah, you are right. Tripod, a good proper tripod. I mean, I bought a Manfrotto 546 GB with a 504 head, and I would have gone for the Satchel one that you have, but that is just a bit too much out of my budget. But that is a fantastic set of legs. But this with the ball head, it was amazing. It was just like, oh, I can finally feel like I can know what I'm doing with this. I don't feel restricted with my framing, my shots, my angles. I can get what I need to get. And then the lighting was just a big sound investment for me because no matter what people say, if you don't have good lighting, your shot's going to look naff. In all honesty, like you can do great with natural lighting. We discussed this if you shape it.
Put this in the end of the episode and segue into the next one.
Yeah.
I did get the Sackler Ace Flowtech later last year.
It's a fantastic tripod. I saw
and
the
again,
videos
it's not something a client's going to pay me more for, but having a ball head for the first time means I can level the camera without adjusting each leg.
Yeah.
That saves me time on set.
And that's the one that you also open all the legs from the top, right?
You can just pull 3 latches and it raises and lowers, which allows you to make adjustments much quicker, which actually almost encourages you to try more things than you would have before because you can do it so quickly. And it's super light. It doesn't hurt your shoulders. So for me, I don't remember what I paid for that. I think a little over $1,000 maybe. But
1,000 for a tripod for sticks. Oh my god. Yeah.
Well, but some people you can get a $6,000, $20,000. I mean, tripods can get really
of
really
course
pricey.
you can. What's the name? O'Connor, right?
Oh God, yeah. And again, okay, so a number of years ago, I was doing a lot of freelance work for another production company, and they said, we just bought this new $5,000 tripod, and I was like, you guys are fucking idiots. A few years later, after having shot a lot more, I fully understand why they invested that money in that tripod.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's if you can't get the moves that you want to get, it's
fluid
heads.
heads. Yeah, the fluid head movement is just so
I spoke too early. I didn't have enough experience to understand why you would spend that much money. Now I can't justify $5,000 for a tripod for my own purposes.
But the Satchel one covers you for a lot of that stuff. It's like it makes you more efficient on set. It gets you the shots you need quickly. And it's super light, which means that if you are traveling with just the camera and nothing else, you can just carry it on the tripod and you know that this is going to be secure, but it's also not going to weigh you down, essentially.
Manfrotto is a good budget tripod and heads. They have good heads and good tripods, Manfrotto. And of course, for example, Sattler it's the next step after Manfrotto.
I agree.
Like maybe a few steps after.
I needed something to really hold the camera.
I think Sackler makes Manfrotto. I think Manfrotto is a subsidiary of Sackler.
Does it? So Sattler is like the premium brands like Lexus for the Japanese brands.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call it the Lexus, but it is higher up,
Yeah, because Manfrotto, I have a 502 and I was working with a 504 head. Those heads, they can take a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And the 502 is like the simplest one of them. The locking system and etc. is not that great because of the way it's designed. But the 504 and forward, they're very good.
Yeah, that's what I've got, and I just feel like for the GH5, it's a bit overkill. But if I move up in the future, if I rent a camera, I don't have to get a new tripod. I can use this, and I know it will carry the weight. So it's sort of future-proof, yeah.
It's just like the speed booster and being able to adapt EF lenses in another camera system.
Exactly.
My Sackler and the head that I bought, the F4, I think, can support a lot more weight than my current rig. So I don't, except for the cage I bought from a GH5, I don't like to invest in things that are lock me into this specific system.
Yeah.
Because once I get rid of the camera, all that stuff has to go on, on eBay or go.
Yeah, the cage I got. Obviously, I'm not going to be upgrading for a few years yet because this is a massive step up for me. And like,
I don't love the cages. I like them.
The
I don't love
small
them.
rig cage I found really. It's got a handle. It's got a space for the XLR adapter.
I like the handle.
I think the handle is a fantastic thing for me because I like to get some low shots, handheld. The lens is got optical stabilized, and so is the camera. So the shots I was getting with the lens, and I don't know if the lens communicates the information to the GH5, but it seems smooth. It looks like it looks cool.
The GH5 with the handle, it's like a gimbal.
Exactly, it's so clean. So then a bit of stabilization in Final Cut, just to kind of cut off the edges a little bit.
Sam, earlier when you were saying that you got your 60D right when you were 17.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea the shit cameras we had when I was 17? High definition didn't exist.
Yeah.
This is the first time I ever bought a cage for my camera, and I have two GH5s, so I've got a cage for each. And the main reason is not to protect the camera, because I figure if I drop the camera, it's going to drop lens first anyway, where all the weight is. So
it's like a cat
I'll be screwed.
Butter.
That's just how gravity works. But it's more because I can now put my XLR adapter on top and mount a shotgun or a wireless lav receiver.
Yeah.
So it's just give me more mounting points, really, than anything
Another
else.
thing in which I'm going to be invested in, I didn't invest right away for the camera, is a Shogun, is an external recorder, because I want to get the ProRes workflow, and I'm waiting for the Ninja 5, which is the smaller 5-inch recorder from Atmos that was announced at NAB recently. I'm waiting for that to come out before I make an investment, essentially.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've had the Atomos Ninja Flame for a few years now, and I use it as a monitor wherever possible. It's amazing for that, for checking focus and exposure and all that. I have used it as a recorder, and that's so nice. But
on the flip side, you have to have the storage. Yeah.
Yes, the files are so much larger than the internal recording. Like right now, I'm recording 8-bit at 100 megabits per second. 100. I think that the 10-bit is 150 normally. You can go up to 400. And that's one thing. But ProRes minimum, I think, is like 800 megabits per second.
Yeah.
So you need to account for the storage there. So just because you can afford the monitor, if you choose to record externally, there are so many other costs to factor in down the road.
After that, yeah, exactly.
See it this way. Gabe, how much space does each of these episodes cost you there? It's a 3 multicam, 4K, all GH5, around 100 megabits.
Yeah, what's it, like 300 gigabytes before I even export the video, something like that?
Yeah, because I send you about...
This is the 4th episode.
Yeah.
We're going to be we're going to be well over 1 terabyte just for these 4 episodes.
Yeah. Crazy. But that's with 100 megabits as well.
And we're not making any money from the show, so it's all out of pocket. But
if you would like to sponsor this show, please send an email to this email that's right here.
There we go. Maybe we get a few sponsors. Maybe, we'll get a few people sending us money. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, the Shogun and the Inferno and the Ninja. I looked at the Inferno, the Shogun Inferno, and I was like, okay, I could do with it, but I don't need STI. And I was like, I could go for the Ninja Flame.
I would get it though.
I'm going to go for the Ninja 5, which is a smaller adapter, the smaller one.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned, because I said, Gabe, are you thinking of maybe getting a smaller one instead of going? Are you going to invest in maybe a smaller monitor?
No.
Then you get a small HT that doesn't record.
I like the idea of the 5 a lot, and if I was going to shoot RAW, I might go that route. But for me, it's primarily a monitoring tool, And so the 7 inches is more or less the perfect size. I mean, if they made a 10-inch monitor that was half the weight, I would lug that around just because I could see more of my image.
That's true.
I don't like squinting for 8 straight hours. I'd like to be able to just see and know instantly if it's in focus.
Well, still 5 inches is about the size of the iPhone.
What about small
camera.
HD? Because
Yes,
if you're
but
using
at the same
for
time, when you're looking at it, like I was a little bit out of focus in the last episode, the whole episode, which sucks.
Yeah.
And I could tell I was out of focus. On the phone, I looked in focus. So you have to be careful with a smaller monitor
That's true.
because especially with 4K, if it looks in focus, it won't necessarily actually be in focus.
Yes, but then again, I'd probably have the monitor, if I was filming this with the Ninja, I'd have the monitor here in front of me. You know, I could
Sure.
trail the HDMI across and go, put peaking on, and then I go, okay, I'm a little bit out, and then...
Well, yeah, for a client shoot, I've always got the monitor right in front of me. It's not the same situation here where
Of course, yeah.
I can't see the monitor. There's nobody helping me. You know, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit of a gamble. The show isn't going to spiral into disaster if I'm a little out of focus. It would just ruin my day.
Yeah.
But
I know that I'm a little bit more in focus than my monitor, so that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can tell I'm in focus because of the...
we are your focus checkers because we can see your final
Exactly,
image.
yeah. It's great.
I'm the lucky one because I can ask you guys, am I in focus or not? Or if I am in focus, if I am out of focus, it's your fault because you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
know.
Now we're his focus pullers as well. That's great.
Yeah.
We
A
are his
remote
grips.
focus
We are his
puller.
grips for this episode.
Do we have to add focus pullers to the credits now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're the grips
Main
for his camera.
But like, if you guys are using these monitors only for monitoring purposes, why not spending less money and use a small HD?
Well, because I haven't only used it as a monitor. There are shoots where I will use it as a recorder. Now, most
Same
of the
here.
time I'm shooting with 2 cameras and I only have 1 recorder. So I don't use it for those shoots. But I've had a handful of shoots where it's a 1-camera interview setup. And it's easier for me just to pop in the SSD, which is pretty, I don't like the term affordable, but it's pretty inexpensive, all things
Yeah.
Oh, it
considered.
is,
Oh, yeah, it is
And,
now. Yeah, compared
To be able
the
to pop it
prices
in, put it in my computer, I edit with Final Cut Pro 10, so it cuts like butter, no transcoding, no proxy media, done deal. It cost me a little more for the storage in the end, but that was a case where the amount
But
of
then
time
you
it
can be
saved
more
me in
efficient.
post.
Exactly, you're more efficient in post because you're not messing
Yeah.
around with transcoding
Yes.
files.
My thought is like Sam was saying, oh, I'm not gonna go for the SDI, I'm gonna go for the HDMI. So you go for the Ninja 5. And my thought is like, I'm already spending money with that recorder. Why not going for the SDI? I mean, in my head, I'm recording with the GH5 today, but if tomorrow, if someone says EVA 1, I
Yes.
could use the ProRes RAW, for example.
Simply because I already know that they're going to do a modular thing for that recorder. So if I wanted to get SDI down the road, I'd need to buy the adapter to convert the
Oh, really?
back of it to SDI.
Yeah, I remember that they have a connection there, but
Yeah.
I think they're going to add like an SDI connection there.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I'm kind of already aware. If I do upgrade, I can grab that adapter and go click,
Wow.
done.
Then that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
So
good
there
to
we
know.
go. So I'm already aware
See,
that
there you are. You're piecing together things based on doing some market research and knowing what might be coming down the pipeline to inform your future purchase decisions,
Exactly.
which is smart.
Yeah.
Paying attention to the trends, paying attention to NAB and various news
Yeah.
sites, Facebook groups is a great way to kind of figure out what other people are doing and what products are on the horizon.
Of course, yeah.
That said, don't bother trying to future-proof. It's a fool's errand. I mean, my iMac Pro was amazing until the day I bought it, and then now it's outdated.
Yeah.
So you can't win the game.
Well,
You
saying
can-
that, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like you can predict, you can maybe plan a little bit, but you're not going to
Yes.
go like for me, I know I'm going to get the Ninja 5. That's going to
Yes.
because I know it's going to get SDI, and if I do change my camera in the future, I can still use that recorder to get ProRes. That will also support ProRes RAW.
Well,
if
you
it's SDI.
invested in a camera system with the full intent on bolting on other functionality that would allow you to take that camera system further down the road.
Yes.
So that initial investment will pay off a year, 2 years, 3, maybe
However
even
long
up
it-
to 5 years down
yeah.
the road. So there was a lot of thought because I know when you were, for months, you were going back and forth on what camera system to go. I know we were
Absolutely.
all chatting about it. There's what the perfect solution for me might not be what's perfect for you and isn't. That said, we all ended up with the Panasonic GH5, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't think we Jedi mind tricked you into buying it.
Well, not that I know of, but I think you have got the red behind you. I feel like you've become a bit of a Sith Lord for this particular episode, but I don't think there was a Jedi mind trick.
I need a hood
for that. But there was other community guidelines. I saw fantastic footage online that was shot really well. I saw your stuff on your website that was shot with the GH4 as well, which also made me think like if the GH4 can do this, the GH5 can most certainly do it. And like I saw what Philippe did as well. Like I saw I saw that skipping video you did. Was it there was a video, the one behind you, jump roping, the one behind you I saw, conveniently. Nice. That was very well timed. And I saw that one, I thought, wow, the footage here looks great, the dynamic range looks pretty good. It's the sort of stuff I'm going to be shooting for my clients. I don't think I need anything else. I'm getting interrupted once again. Sorry about that.
I need to put a sock in the...
I need to get a little do not disturb thing.
The sock on the door now means something a little different in the States, I think.
No. That's exactly what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I will get it on air. I've seen one. I'm probably going to go buy one. An on air light, a little thing that says "I am on air, do not disturb" kind of thing. I'm going to put it outside my door, and then just have the cable in there, and then turn it on if I need to turn it on. So that's what I'm going to do.
But the investment thing is very similar to what happened with my iMac. As I was waiting, I had only my 2016 MacBook Pro, and I was working just out of it. And one day a customer came to me and wanted an 8K project for a very huge screen on a convention center. And I started suffering with that. I was like, I really need to get a desktop computer. And the timing was perfect because Apple had just released the pricing for the iMac Pro. And the pricing for the iMac Pro in Czech Republic was just absurd. Literally, you can buy a car. A brand new car, 2000, like the year that you're living in, you can buy a car that year, like from Renault or something like that. A very good car with the price that you can buy an iMac Pro. And then I looked at it, I was like, I don't normally work with RAW footage, which would be a very good reason why to buy an iMac Pro. And I just need something that's going to handle well 4K footage and even other resolutions without really crying. So I got the spec'd out 2017 iMac, and so far it's great. Of course, it doesn't compare to the 18 core that Gabe has. If we throw RAD 8K files there, that computer is gonna just chew through it. It's just gonna it's gonna play back like butter. And in mine is gonna just say, no, thank you. Give me an optimized file or a proxy or something. But for me, at that point in time, it was worth buying this computer. It's totally worth, and I'm very happy that I have it. Maybe in 6 months or 1 year from now, it's not going to be. But 6 months or 1 year from now, if it is not enough for me, I'm definitely in a different position in my business in which I am using 8K RAD files probably. Yeah. And if I'm using 8K RAD files, it means that I'm probably charging more than I'm charging right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Getting better projects. So
that's more of like a projected business kind of thing, isn't it? It's like you can look at your business and go, right, if I need to make that investment, I must be making and charging more money in the sense that.
And the computer is like a 2-year investment. I don't see a computer lasting more than 2 years.
It depends. For example, my iMac Pro was out of commission for a month until I got this new 18 core, and I've been using my late 2013 i7 iMac, which
you totally can.
What?
You totally can do that.
Well, I'm using my late 2013 iMac, and it can cut 3 angles of multicam 4K native media with color corrections at 2 times speed, untranscoded.
Over the network.
Over a network. That's a late 2013 iMac. So your 2017 is going to be solid for a long time.
But when I calculated my cost of doing business, I calculate every 2 years. So for 2 years, this is definitely good. I don't need to change this for 2 years. If I add another person in my team, then I say, maybe the iMac Pro. Yeah. But maybe not. Maybe the iMac 2018.
I looked at it and decided that the last few years I spent a lot of money on production, and I've sort of neglected post. And then I got a contract with a client of mine where I would just need it. My workflow was about to get huge. So I needed to be able to handle that plus all my other clients. And then shortly after, my wife, Elizabeth, kind of joined the company, at least on a part-time basis now at this point, to edit. So I needed a second machine. I needed a machine that could handle this workflow. I needed a machine that would allow me to significantly speed up all my times. And this 18 core is consistently like 3 to 4 times faster at rendering than this other computer, which again is no slouch still. Now, granted, this 2013 wasn't the base model. It was the highest end, spec computer at the time. But
which is worth investing on higher end spec when you're buying.
If you're editing, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the late 2015 iMac, 5K iMac here. It's got it's fully spec. It's got 32 gigs of RAM.
It will last a long time still.
Yeah, it still runs fast. I can Final Cut in here. It's amazing.
Well, here's another Final Cut plug. Is Final Cut runs better on underpowered systems than any other NLE out there.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
You can run 4K HEVC on Final Cut Pro 10
on a MacBook.
On a 2012 MacBook.
Yeah,
no, sorry, 2016 MacBook.
16.
The underpowered small one.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I was going to mention with your workflow now, with having a second machine editing, and you've got this kind of this supercomputer kind of be your render beast. Now you connected it via 10 gig Ethernet. It's going to be a case of your system could be editing, and then once they're done, slap it onto your machine, render, and it'd be done quicker than it would be on that machine, and you could still be working in the background whilst that one's cooking away, and you haven't got to worry about it.
Or if I didn't have she's not my employee, she's my wife. If there wasn't another editor, I could be chugging away rendering on the iMac Pro and just switch over and keep working on my iMac because I've got a network set up. Yeah. So I don't have to. Whereas every day before getting the second computer, when I was rendering, I was the whole time would stop. Yeah. I would just be stuck waiting. So now I can be so much more productive. And as we've mentioned in past episodes, I'm not going to charge less just because I'm more productive.
And the interesting thing about Final Cut is that it takes the cycles that you're not using on the computer to render out. So, for example, if you put to export something and immediately starts another project, it's gonna slow down or pause the export depending on what you're doing. Yep. And then as soon as you look to the other side to talk to your wife or something like this, the iMac's gonna say, "Whoop, nope, it's not using," and it starts exporting. And it's very nice because it doesn't lock you out.
I take issue with them calling it background rendering because it does pause when you stop, but it's still a lot better than...
But you don't need to pause or resume. So it is background.
And if it was true background rendering, everything else you do would slow down anyway. So it's kind of a happy medium, but I wouldn't call it true background rendering.
Yeah, no. Sure.
Yeah, I mean...
Just to be fair.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't call simultaneous background rendering like simultaneous as you're doing something else. I would still call it background because you're not managing it. After you send it to export, you don't need to manage it.
Yeah.
So if you say, "Oh, right now I'm gonna add it, therefore I need to pause my export," no, the application knows that it needs to leave you enough processing cycles for you to do your edit. Whereas, for example, if you use the built-in export dialog into Premiere, it will lock you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally will lock you out, and you're gonna just take your tea and watch that progress bar go there.
That's
and
why
sometimes it's gonna fail.
That's why I like the combo of Frame.io and Final Cut because it's such a powerful.
And Vimeo and Final Cut, like
Vimeo has a new app as well.
Yeah.
All of this ties into, what do you invest in and what do you use to justify your purchase decisions?
Like Frame.io, Well, we could speak about Frame.io as well because like Vimeo and Frame.io, we've got similar cases now where Vimeo's got a review platform you can use to, review your videos, and Frame.io is just the pinnacle. I think has become the king of video review platforms. There are others out there, there's like I think Whipster and a few others, but I think. They've changed their model. They've changed how they price stuff, which for a solo shooter doesn't really work anymore. But for Frame.io, for me, is fantastic because I'm using it at this business. I'll get people come up to me going, "It's fantastic. We really like using it. We might use it for more external
100%
clients.
of my customer feedback has been always for the past 2 years has been we love Frame.io. 100% of the feedback.
I used to use Vimeo. I would upload the video, send a link, and then I would always get from all of my. Okay, occasionally you'll have a client that can read time code, but even if you explain to them hours, minutes, seconds, frames, you're still going to get a bunch of gobbledygook in an email.
Yeah.
And you're going to spend hours trying to figure out what time they were referring with Frame.io. I have the same exact experience as you guys. Every single client I've sent a video up to, because the way Frame.io works is you can just click play on the video. When you want to leave a note, you just start typing. It'll pause the video at that moment. It'll leave your comment exactly at that precise point in time. So you, the client, don't even have to pay attention to time code or even know what it means.
Yeah.
And then we can either sort those comments by time code, which Frame.io should be the default. Oldest is ridiculous. It should sort in order.
Please, Frame.io.
I've written that to them. We'll see. But or we can bring that into Final Cut and have those markers right in our timeline.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, it's a little off topic, but the process of making your revisions, you always have to work backwards. Because otherwise, if you make the first change at the front of your timeline, everything shifts over and you lose all your references.
Okay. I will say the way I do it, it might not work for everyone, but there are two ways that I approach this. If I bring in the comments from Frame.io, it comes as a compound clip, a very long compound clip, right? Mm-hmm. So
then I break it apart, first thing I do.
Yeah, so if you break it apart, then it links to the individual clips most of the time, and it's nice. So if it links to the individual clips, then most of the time you can do the edits without affecting the other ones because it's linked there with that time. But what I do is, right before bringing in the comments from the customer, I do a snapshot from my project. Yes. Then I bring in the comments, and then what I do, if they say remove this section between 5 seconds and 10 seconds, what I do is I blade at 5 seconds and I just deactivate between 5 and 10. And then I move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. As soon as I went through all of them, then I just look at my deactivated ones and I start deleting them. At that point, I don't need to read the comments anymore. Mm-hmm. And then I start doing my own editor pass on that thing. The reason why I keep the snapshot is because there is I would say that almost 50% of my customers go back on edits from another version.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Say version 3 was better. And then you're like, oh, wow, really? And so if you have that snapshot, you have that version 3 frozen in time right there.
As an aside, don't ever. I don't recommend you ever assume that you're going to keep moving forward, and so you can just always work off the same version and overwrite it and overwrite that and overwrite that. Always keep a history of your versioning.
Even in the middle of a version, right? Like if you're version 3, you're snapshot in the beginning, and then when you're saying, oh, I think I've done enough revisions here, you go a snapshot again, just in case.
Yeah.
It's like a backup.
Well, in terms of kind of investments, as I think for post-production, that's a sound investment for communicating with clients, but also storage is a fantastic one as well. I've always kind of keeping my eye on SSDs are getting cheaper. I'm looking more and more into
somewhat
cheaper. Yeah, I'm looking more into kind of upgrading my storage system at some point in the future. But that's kind of also a word of here's a good one to talk about, because I know there's other people have got different topics about this, and I'd like to hear what people think about it. Hard drives, manufacturers wants to stay away from, and wants to actually invest in. Because for me, it's always been G-Tech. I've always had a clear kind of investment from them. I know you're grinning at the teeth. What's going on, Gabe? Do you not like G-Tech or?
I've had G-Tech in the past, and I'm using them now to a point. They're solid drives, but they're extremely noisy when I'm reading and writing.
Yeah.
Extremely noisy. I can't stand that. Just a few weeks ago, I invested in some drives from OWC, Otherworld Computing.
Yeah.
2 8-terabyte Thunder Bay 4. Mm-hmm. So, whereas my G-Tech it was a RAID 0. Well, I configured RAID 0 just for speed. So, just so the viewers know there's no redundancy, there's no safety, so you should always have at least one copy on another drive.
Yeah.
Ideally 2 copies, just word of caution. But I always go RAID 0. These now have 4 drives composing that same RAID, and I'm getting significantly faster speeds. And it's because of those drives, which is why my network works as smoothly as it does.
Yeah.
That's why in another room of my house, I can edit the 3 angles of multicam off these drives without a hiccup.
Yeah.
And so my previous edit drives, the G-RAID, is now just a fast backup for me.
Yeah.
And it's on a shelf down below, so I can't hear it as much. The OWC drives are silent when they're reading and writing. Their fans are a little noisy, but you have to keep in mind they have twice as many drives as the G-Tech as well. And it's a kind of sound that sort of just disappears in the background. I mean, my actual overhead lights, which are off now, are noisier than these drives.
Wow.
Yeah, Philippe, well, it's only because they're LED lights and I put a dimmer in, but I didn't put the right type of dimmer in. So until I replace it,
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
You can make a horror movie there.
So a horror movie? Well,
Yeah.
I'm kind of all set up for that right now. So please, if you see somebody rise up behind me, just let me know.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Do not let him know, because we want to watch what happens.
Who's that behind you? Ah! Yeah. That's the end of the episode right there.
Little things. This right here is HD D-Shine makeup.
HD?
That's just, well, they call it HD,
Oh, right.
which is kind of funny.
a 4K one?
I think it's because HD back in the day allowed you to see so much more information than standard definition. So you had to step up your game and use different types of makeup. Now, of course, we're in 4K, 8K, and beyond. But this little thing, that's probably like $30 or $40. Came in a big pack. To tell you the truth, it came with all these sponges. I don't even know what they're for. But so I just use this. But that one little thing stepped up the quality of my production so much. Just being able to de-shine your talent. Because if they have a hot spot, then you have to compensate for your lights so it doesn't blow out, because you don't really want half their forehead to be disappeared, the tip of your nose. I can tell my de-shine's wearing off a little bit, but again, this is not a corporate client shoot. But this is well worth it to me. The client will be happier because they'll look better. It's a minimal expense compared to these computers or tripods or cameras.
Course,
I highly recommend makeup, at least de-shine makeup.
It's a good icebreaker too. It's a good icebreaker because as soon as you get to a corporate client, like that's a guy, and saying, sorry, I need to put some makeup on you, it's actually a very good opportunity to break the ice and see what they say after you say, I need to put some makeup on you. They will open the doors a little bit for you to make a little bit of joke. They will start the joke in a way. They're going to say, sorry, what, makeup?
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I'm not going to put lipstick on you, but
I do that with lav. I do that with lav
glow,
mics. If I need to like mic anybody up with a lav, who was trying to break the ice there with like...
Yeah.
I might try your approach, Philippe, because up until now, I literally go up to their nose to nose and I say, now is the time for makeup. And they get really uncomfortable. You know, our eyes are about 3 inches apart.
I don't see why they would. I'll be honest. That seems like a really direct approach to, you know...
You leave no gap for them to interpret anything else.
They can't protest or anything. I mean, it's a case of time for makeup all over them. There we go. Done.
Yes.
After they look the Joker from Batman.
I remember one of my customers there was like, he was bald like me, and there was a huge white blob on his head. And I was like, sorry, I'm going to need to get rid of that blob on your head. And was like, I hope you're not calling me a blob. So in that case, I was the one that started the joke.
Yeah.
But I knew with that specific customer that I had the opening to do that. As soon as I need to get rid of that blob on the head. And he said, like, I hope you don't mean that my head is a blob. And everyone was laughing. I was like, he didn't know how to answer. And then I started putting the powder there on his head. And he looked at me and he said, I have a dinner later tonight. If you make me look like Lady Gaga, I will come back and you're going to lose your job. But it was so much of a joke, And we were all laughing. And he broke that ice completely. And he was one of the highest executives in the company, in a 400,000 people company. He was I'm not going to say what position he was, but he was on the C-suite.
All right. So the G-suite was on the C-suite.
A 400,000 person company?
Yeah.
That's like a large portion of the population of the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big company.
Well, we'll
Wow.
leave it there for speculation, but there's a lot of things people need to kind of keep keen eyes on for investment. And like me, you might be making a huge investment all at once, or you might be making small investments across a period of time, like, de-shine makeup or getting new batteries, things like that. And so always kind of look out for ways you can be more efficient and be more...
Yeah.
On
Feel
the
it out.
ball. Yeah, I think it's kind of a case
If
of
you're
like,
just starting out, it might not be the best time to just spend a ton
Exactly.
of money on gear. If you have an established business and regular clients, it's easier for you to make those decisions. Like, I could get this tripod without really thinking about it now. 6 years ago, that was an enormous expense.
exactly.
But that said, the iMac Pro was a huge purchase for me. That's not something I could just snap my fingers and have without stressing and running that past my wife, of course. So even though I've been doing this for 6 years, that's a huge investment. My iMac Pro costs more than a lot of my other gear combined.
Yeah.
So I really had to justify that.
Don't like go out and get a mortgage just to get camera gear.
Because the new gear does not ever guarantee you're going to get the next bigger project or the next bigger client. It's always a risk. You have to be
That's
cautious.
why I can share my 2018 budget with everyone. My 2018 budget resumes into no. Whatever money I'm making, very first of all, goes to pay my bills, my rent, my electricity, my internet, everything else that's bills in general. Number 2 in that investment is networking. I will go to the Creative Summit in October in Cupertino. I'm going to meet you guys there. I'm going to meet a bunch of other people, and I think that's extremely important. In this business, networking is super important. That's my plan. Third is vacation. I think investing in my own mental sanity is very important. Mm-hmm. So bills, networking,
Time
vacation,
out.
and last of all is equipment. So I cannot buy equipment before I resolve all the others.
Right, yeah. But no. So yeah, keen things to look at for investments, and if you have any things what you guys invested in that might be good things to kind of keep an eye out, microphones, sound, things like that. There's loads of things we didn't touch on because we're running out of time for the, so
it all comes down to what you can afford at the time, what will improve your process,
your
efficiency,
workflow,
improve the quality of your product, and then also what potential it has to bring in more income to you, to thus pay for your life, pay for your vacation, pay for your business to keep growing, pay for coffee. If you're an editor, you have to drink coffee. These guys are...
That's expensive.
Beer guys, but you need some good coffee.
But yeah, good coffee, and So well, that's probably it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, give us a like, share us with people who think you might like this show. We're very open, very talkative, and we're keen to get some feedback, so leave your comments down below on things you might want to hear from us, people that you think would be great to be on the show, and we'll see you in the next episode then.